Welcome to Home Team Advantage. I'm Gary Gimbetti along with Mike Egan, and we're back from a 2-week hiatus. Some of you guys had fun during that 2 weeks, while others of us had to suffer through.
You had your what fixed? Your hiatus?
Yeah, hiatus. I did have my hiatus fixed on Friday. I went in.
Boy,
I had my 10-year colonoscopy. Not that anybody wants to hear that, but I did.
That's a deep subject. We can't talk
Yeah,
about
it is.
that.
No, it's too. Yeah, we don't want to really to go into that any further. But
No. Neither did the doctor.
yeah,
I don't want to go into that any further.
no, they went for it far enough.
Yep.
So I'm good there. So I'm glad.
Good.
That makes me relax a little bit more. But yeah, I still had to.
Cover
I was
sports.
down at the state tournament on last Wednesday covering Cherry, and they won a nice game over Border West, which is like 6 high schools in one.
Yeah. What, they got third place?
They placed 4th. They got beat by Russell Tyler Ruthin in the semifinals, and then they lost to Spring Grove in the third place game.
Oh, okay.
And that. And he's not using excuses or all that, but obviously those games are tough to get
Kids motivated.
ready,
for it.
motivated for. But he also said, yeah, but Spring Grove had the same situation, and they came and showed up, and
Yeah. So who won?
Russell Tyler Ruthin ended up winning it. So they did lose to the eventual champions. That there, and it was a good game. I mean, it was a four-point game, I believe, in that one, and Cherry they ran into foul trouble, which I don't think they've ever experienced.
Yep.
All season. I don't think they've ever had to. When Osama has to sit out, and Noah Sundquist has to sit out.
Tough.
Yeah, you're losing your best players, but they still almost came back and beat Russell Tyler Ruthin. So, congratulations to the Tigers on their season, and now they'll play baseball and basketball in the off season, and they'll come back next year. They only lose one player, so it's.
That's not the kid. No, he's only a junior.
Yeah, he's only a junior. They lose one player off that team who didn't play a lot, but some.
Yeah.
So they'll be back again next year trying to, get to that state tournament and win the title.
So high school sports, basically, as we mentioned before in our pre-conference meeting, track is
You're using that term loosely.
track and tennis are basically the only two.
Track had a couple. I know I had one indoor meet last weekend, but they don't report anything, so I can't come up with any results or
I thought
anything.
you had a one-on-one with Mr. Bliss.
Well, I thought I did too, but
We should bring him on here.
I don't get anything. And then tennis is going to open their season tomorrow in Virginia at the indoor courts. They're going to play Grand Rapids Greenway, so they'll get their season started. And I think softball's already played 2 games. They went down 3 games. I think I heard they went 2-1. They went down to the cities.
Oh, okay.
And must have played in a dome and
Yeah.
won 2 games. But again, I'm not informed about that was just a off the cuff kind of thing where somebody told me they had gone down there and finished 2-1.
So Coach Conda, how many years?
Oh, I don't know, lots.
Yeah.
35, 40. I don't know.
Him and Coach Vinciano
I know.
must have a pretty close reign on who's been coaching the longest.
That's right. It's going to be interesting when those two kind of step down to see who fills their shoes.
Yeah.
Because that girls program went through a number of coaches before Mike took over, but the boys, he's kind of been there.
Yep. What, 50-some years between the
Yeah,
boys
between
and
the
girls?
2 of them, at least 25 apiece.
Yeah.
So.
Huh. Well, we're on that time of the year when it's supposed to be nice and warm and sunny, and it's snowing.
Yeah.
You can't get outside and play, and fields are still got 10 feet of snow on them, and it's tough. It's tough for athletes this time of year.
You just drive by it, and you just get depressed.
Yep.
And like I told Ron earlier, we lived up here for how many years, so we know what we're going to get.
Right.
But it's still depressing. I mean, even a nice sunshiny day like today is going for naught because you're not going to get. You might get some melting, but you're not going to get a whole lot of it.
Well, when's the last time you had Easter and you had snow?
I can remember a number of times, I'm sure. I mean, it's not like, my birthday's coming up in April. It snowed on the 21st.
See how we threw that in there, Ron?
Yeah.
Birthday's coming
Yeah,
up.
so if anybody wants to send me any gifts or anything, please feel free. But
We'll get you a free cola.
yeah, yeah, there you go. It's pretty much free anyway. But it snowed on the 21st of April, but then after it snows, temps get up in the 40,
Yeah, and it
45s or
Yep.
50s, and it melts right away. But here, it doesn't seem like there's any relief in sight until, I want to say, a week from Sunday. I looked and it said 40 degrees.
Oh,
So I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I just spent a week at 84, so every day the sunshine and
yeah, how boring is that?
Yeah.
Boy, that would be real boring.
yeah.
Did you go out and play golf?
No, I didn't go play golf. They have a golf. There was a golf course right next to the hotel, so I just no. I was swinging everything the other way into the pool. And
You're going to
Look at
the
'em
pool,
right-
the bar that's in the
Bar in
pool?
the pool.
The swim up bar?
Yeah.
Do they actually have those?
Oh yeah.
They do.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. With after a couple hours, it's tough to swim. So you're glad you're in the shallow end walking. So,
Nah, you don't get like that, do you?
no.
All right.
No.
All right. I
Not-
figure you've been
not
through
really.
the mill before and you kind of know how to control yourself.
Yeah. Actually, I don't drink. I owned a bar and never didn't drink.
Drink?
Yeah.
Not-
Not now. I have
not-
to.
I'm sure there were days.
Oh yeah, there were days.
Plenty of
Believe-
them.
every day. So, what else? Oh, we're gonna get the
Well,
not to
be-
plug my business, but the golf simulator's coming in next Monday.
Okay.
So to be able to come out and play golf.
Well, I told the high school coaches about it. You must have said something to them. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they can bring their kids in there and
Well, it'd
get
be,
some swings in. And
yeah. I mean, not only is it you can play the courses, but it tells you what you're doing wrong. And if I got up there, I'd probably burn out the computer because it'd be telling everything I did wrong.
But, yeah, the list would be what, this
yeah,
long?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would be for most of us. So,
I was going to say the last one they would have probably been you there between you and I. They'd probably run out of explanations
Yeah.
and expletives.
well, the clubs are sitting in my basement. They're getting ready to be used. But,
Good.
yeah,
New
obviously,
clubs too, right? From last year.
from last year. Yes, I should come and swing them at your place.
So,
But I have to join. I suppose I better join. I have to
Yeah.
get a membership first.
but college has nothing going on.
Well, they've been playing. I know the college baseball team went to Florida and played a few games, and I know they've won one game. I think they got some games in at U.S. Bank Stadium, but a lot of the rest of them have been canceled, and I think they were supposed to play again this week. I think they're going down to Rochester one of these days. If it's not this week, it's next weekend. I can't believe they're down there ready to play. But somebody told me that there's high school teams already out in the south that are
Already playing.
playing outside, or they're practicing
Practicing
outside. But so I it's what a difference. I mean, I get it, they're south, but
Well, up here we play on the asphalt for a while, and then
Yeah.
then they get to play on grass. But I ran into Coach Glumac. It's hard to say, Coach Glumac.
Glumac, yeah,
And,
it's
uh,
weird.
He's only got 10 kids. There are 10 young ladies playing for him. So.
He might have about 11 or 12.
No. Oh, okay.
I think. I took their pictures the other day, and there was like 9 or 10 of them there, and there was like 2 that weren't.
Okay.
So he's got enough, obviously. I mean, you'd probably like a little more. You'd like a little more pitching depth.
No, in softball, don't you play with 10?
Yeah, well, you put 9.
Yeah.
Well, 9.
9.
Yeah. So he's got with the one sub, but he needs more pitching, and right now he doesn't have it. But he didn't get hired till like late June last year.
Yep.
And recruiting's probably almost like non-existent at that point.
Well, they must be waiting for that young lady from Hibbing to come
Oh, yeah. I think Ani's going to probably be going somewhere else to
You think so?
to pitch if she's got, she's very talented. So that's one thing that the varsity team here has at the high school is they have the pitcher, so now they just have to find the offense.
Yep.
And and it's just amazing, and I'm not naming names, but kids that used to play softball that are now in another sport. I mean, I just,
Wow.
and some that probably were in other sports are now playing different sports. I guess I don't.
Well, the old saying, the grass is not that much greener on the other side, and you'll find out in the long run you made a mistake. That's the problem. I think if you're going to play a sport, stick to it this time of year, especially with baseball and softball. We advocate on this show that you should play as many sports as you can, but especially if you're a junior or senior, why switch now?
Yeah, you've already put the time, blood, sweat, and tears in that one sport, and then to give it up and go to something totally different.
Yep.
I don't. Good luck to them. I mean, to all of them. And I'm not saying that sarcastically or anything, but yeah, it's gonna be a whole new experience for some of those kids that aren't on those teams that they were usually on. Softball, I don't think the college softball team, I don't think has won a game yet, and I think next time they play is next weekend. They go down to the cities, probably to some dome down there. It's not the Irish Dome in Rosemont. It's somewhere else that has. There's another thing we need up here, as we were talking before the show. We need a place to be able to play games, and it's easy to spend someone else's money. I always say that.
Yeah,
but
well, we're almost there. We got the track and the field, and even one of those big bubbles works during the winter months. To practice in.
Sure.
Who knows?
Well, you go run over to Greenway, and at least they're practicing in their hockey arena. And now I don't know. I mean, I know they hit ground balls and stuff, and have the batting cage and all that stuff in there. I don't know how intense they get in there, but that's the one thing. The arena sits here empty.
Yeah. Well,
when they could be practicing in there with a lot more room.
gotta charge them rent.
Well, I know, that's the thing, which totally boggles my mind, but oh well.
Well, there's nothing like a little spring baseball in the Lincoln gym.
Yeah, Lincoln and high school gym. Yeah, when we played, we practiced in the old boys gym. That's where
Downstairs
we
there?
got. We got the
wow.
old. It was their girls' gym and the boys' gym. We practice in both of those two gyms,
Wow.
and there's no room in any of those two
No.
gyms. And we would do it we would practice at the Lincoln, I think, too sometimes, but that's totally different now. They have at least they have bigger gyms to practice in now and get stuff done.
Yeah, when you think back, I wasn't not from here. I didn't go to high school here, but if you had to play in that old gym like Kevin McHale did, and then go play at the Lincoln, what a difference it might have been.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know if he probably did if he was a 7th, 8th grader or 9th grader, he may have played in that gym because obviously they were still playing in the Lincoln when they were in high school.
Right.
But yeah, before the Lincoln they played in the Lincoln though. The games in there must have been fantastic.
Yep. Yeah.
What a great and there's pillars in there that would block your view, but I have a feeling that would be just a massive fun time to watch a game being played in that
Well,
gym.
especially when you look up and there's people hanging over the balcony, and
So, yeah, those are the days. I did that story over the basketball on the Chisholm '73 team that won state. So it was
Okay.
50 years for them, and they all got together down in the cities.
Oh, nice.
I think 12 of the 14 players were there. They had a couple cheerleaders, and they had one of their managers made it. So I talked to Mike Kachiver, Paul McDonald, Greg Steniger, and Tim Casey off that team. And I had a good time doing that. That was fun.
Did you ever do the one on the hockey for Hibbing?
I did. I talked to Dave Herbst about it, and I just wrote a column about it because I didn't, if I'd have had more, I guess, individuals, it would have
Right.
been easier to do a story. But I just wrote a column, so I did do that because they had their 50th anniversary of winning the state in '73. And the amazing part about that one is that day they came home on that Sunday, they had that big caravan coming in from the airport into the Lincoln.
And the school burnt down. or
And then the
something.
Brooklyn school
Burnt down.
was burning down at the same time. They had the, and I'm sure Mr. Workala probably knows about that very well, I would imagine.
That was my grade school, and I was in 11th grade when they won the tournament.
So.
And you were the one that lit the match? 'Cause I wasn't here because I'm not getting blamed for that one.
It was arson.
Yeah, it was arsenic evidently, but yeah.
But, you know, you go back to those two teams in '73 for Chisholm and in the Hibbing hockey. Today, those guys still remember that experience, and that's just something that you know, I can't remember my name half of the time, but I sure remember when I played at the state tournament. I mean, we went down to the old barn at the U and played down there, and it's just things you don't forget. And going back to some of these athletes that decide to switch, you know, sports, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it's it's unfortunate that we don't have more success. I think, I hate to say that, but we don't have that perennial. Well, we have swimmers that go to state usually every year,
Yep.
and we have wrestlers that go to state every year. And we have some track athletes that go to state. You know, last year was the first for the boys in a
But
long
it's
time.
all individual sports.
But it's individual sports. It's too bad we don't have that like every other year thing where we can.
Well, we should, before we go any further, we should make a point to congratulate the Pee Wee and Bantam hockey team for winning the state tournament. That's a heck of an accomplishment for both programs to win. I mean,
Yeah, I think who the Bantams beat. No, I can't remember. One of the two teams beat War Road in the finals. I think that was the Pee Wees.
Pee Wees.
But I'm not sure. You know, it's a week ago, so it's like
Yeah.
foggy.
Yeah.
And
Kids will be in high school.
Well, if I were the high school coach, I'd be pretty excited knowing that there's going to be some of those kids coming up to be part of the high school program. And the high school program wasn't that bad this year.
no, but they're losing 11 seniors.
Right.
So there's only like 6 or so coming back. The 2 goalies are set. I'm sure it'll be Erdahl and Wally will man the nets.
Yep.
And then they have at least one line and at least 2 defensemen coming back off that team. So some of those Bantams are going to get thrust into playing on the varsity next year.
And you know, granted, it's a different scenario with high school versus Bantam, but like you said, that they'll learn quickly. So.
Yeah, it might be a learning year next year, just like the basketball team went through this year. But yeah, they're going to grow up quickly. I mean, it's going to be, you know, you notice that some of them, and not that it's a big deal, but the first Pee Wee team to win that, those kids were scoring. Some of those kids had over 200 points.
Mm-hmm.
Now they went up to Bantams. Now their production dropped off a little
Right.
bit, not because of their play,
Nope.
but because it gets
Competition.
the competition gets a little bit better. And now when they get up to varsity, it's going to obviously grow exponentially. And but hopefully some of them can continue that scoring, because some of those numbers are unbelievable.
Well, and really, when you think about it, Gary, there's a lot of hockey, not just in Hibbing, but around the upper northeast Minnesota that, you know, back in the day, there used to be that one kid, like Speedhar was at Duluth East, and was it Fairchild that was in Rapids? Or,
Yeah, Kelly, yeah.
You know, years ago, that you always had that one player, Amber Fricklin, was such a dominant player. But you don't have that player up here anymore. That you know, the last few years, do you?
Yeah, no, not that I can recall.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like Rapids probably had a couple guys that were there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just that one individual that
Yeah.
always stood out to be, you knew when he gets on the ice, he's going to have a couple of goals no matter
Yeah.
what. Kind of like Gretzky. Hey,
like
he's gonna
the
score.
War Road kids, the Shagabe, whatever his name is.
Oh, I went
and
fishing there. It's a great place.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay, well, good. But no, that lineup there was very good. You know,
Yep.
it was a surprise that they lost, but I guess maybe not, because Matamida is pretty solid.
Right.
But yeah,
Well, it's a tribute to like a team like Matamima when you got 3 good lines versus 1 line. Same thing they did to Henry Boucher when Edina played him. Go get Henry.
Yeah.
The rest of the team will fall behind him. So.
Yeah, so, yeah, that pretty much wraps up all that. We have the Major League Baseball season starting today. The Twins
Yep.
open at Kansas City, I think at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock this afternoon.
How'd they end up in the spring? I know they won a few games, but
Yeah, they were around 500, I
Okay.
think. So they didn't do that bad, poorly. So, you know, they don't have a number one starter. Obviously, I kind of wrote an off-the-cuff column last night just to have something in the paper today.
Well, who is their starting pitcher? Pablo?
Pablo Lopez will be
Lopez.
starting today. I said they don't have that number one guy per se, but they have
I think they're
four
number
or
two guy.
five guys
Yep.
that could be number two starters, and we'll
I
see.
think that
how-
number two might end up being their number one guy eventually.
Yeah, Pablo could be the number one guy, and Sonny Gray could be the
Sonny
number
Gray,
one guy.
yeah.
Joe Ryan could be the number one guy. The question mark will be Maeda and how he comes back from his Tommy John
Tommy John.
surgery. But if he's halfway or even near the top form, that's four good starters right
Yep.
there. And
Bullpen should be okay.
well, it should be. I still, after watching some of the spring training games, there's some of those guys. They have to prove it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, what's his name? Joan Duran is going to be the closer, I'm assuming.
102.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he'll be just fine. And they have Jorge Alcala or something, I think his name is. He did decently last year. But Griffin Jacks, I guess, had a good spring out of the bullpen. But like some of those other guys, Cole Sands and Caleb Thielbar, and I'm not sold on them yet. I
Yeah.
guess they're going to have, it's kind of like Nas Reed and some of those guys for the Timberwolves back in a couple, 3 years
Yeah.
ago, where I wasn't really sold on them before Finch took over. But now, obviously Nas is segueing into basketball, has turned into a
Yeah.
pretty good player.
Yeah.
And Jaden McDaniels has turned into a decent ball player.
Tell them what Rudy Gobert said about the officiating.
I can't repeat that on the
I can.
on the air. But
It's a four-letter word.
no, actually it was bull.
Yeah, bull.
Yeah, and you can add the word on after it.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
yeah,
Think he'll get a fine for that one?
I don't care. I hope he does.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, I watched. I hate to get off the Twins already, but
Time restraint.
I watched the two games against Golden State and Sacramento, and the officiating and what is it, Adam Silverman? I don't know who the commissioner is. I know his last name's Silverman. He should be ashamed of himself with some of the officiating that goes on in that game. And it's biased. It's biased toward other teams that the Wolves are playing.
Sure.
And I don't care. Maybe I'm just too much of a homer then I miss it.
I don't think there's a credence to the fact that when you're in a small market team like the Timberwolves are, and you're playing somebody like Phoenix or LA, a big market team, that they're going to get the calls because the NBA at the end of the year wants the teams that are going to draw people to watch them, and most of those big market teams are the ones that are going to do it. So
Mhm.
LA, everybody make a deal about Sir James, King James,
Your favorite player.
my favorite player. But he's with the big market team, New York, Philadelphia. So those are the teams that are going to get the calls.
Mhm. Well, and when Phoenix shoots 27 free throws and the Wolves only shoot 12,
Yep.
it goes to show. And I know Chris Finch said it the other night after the game. It must help to go out and complain about it, because the Phoenix coach complained about it when he played Los Angeles,
Yep.
and now all of a sudden they're shooting
It's
more free
reverse it,
throws.
yeah.
So, but the officiating, some of the calls I see are so poor. Some of the three-point plays I see are so poor. I think referees just want to throw themselves into the game. They don't touch these guys. Rudy Gobert gets hit in the face with elbows and fists, and Draymond Green hit him in the face the other night against Golden State. They did not call a flagrant foul on him, but they called 3 on Rudy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well.
It's biased. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing to look at too, I think the Wolves last night, the last couple of nights have played pretty well. Now that they've got their team, but it's going to take a while for the cat to get in there and figure out what's going on. And you know, he's been out, and you know, I think they're going to, you know, depending, they can win a couple of games, they're in the playoffs. I mean, they're in the playoffs now, but they're going to be a better seed.
Yeah, but they don't have to play in the play-in game if they can
So
get
far.
up to that sixth. No,
Yeah.
they're seventh right now, I
Right.
believe, so they are in it.
Yeah.
So they got to get up. They have to win the rest of your games, and then, you know, get up
Yep.
to 44, 45 wins, whatever you can do, and then you probably missed that play-in game.
Yep.
But then if they do, they're going to play the eighth seed anyway, which I'm sure is a team they can beat. So it's just a man. They'll play them at home, so hopefully they'll be able to, you know, get rid of that. Now the Wild, of
Wild.
course.
Oh, Ron's over there. Wild.
We only got 2 minutes.
What are they? 16-4.
They're in first
No,
place.
16-1-4 in their last 21 games,
Yep.
or maybe it's 17-1-4 in their last 22 games, maybe.
They're 3 points up, and
3 points up. They had a nice win at Colorado. Colorado's got most of its players,
Yep. Yeah, they're back.
other than maybe Landeskog, but they're still a tough team to beat at home, and the Wild took care of them last night.
You know, as I said earlier, I was watching the game last night, and you know, you watch the Wild play now, and they kind of look like a team that knows what the heck they're doing. I mean, they all skate together pretty well, and they've got some guys that can put the puck in the net, and I think you're going to be all right. I think they're going. I don't know if they're going to win. You know, tough to beat Boston and some
Well.
of these Eastern teams, but if they can continue to play like they are, I think they're going to do well in the playoffs.
Well, they have to win their division, number one, because
Yep.
then you avoid both Dallas and Colorado in the first round of the playoffs.
Right.
You play one of the wild card teams, whether it's the 7th seed or the 8th seed, which the NHL's playoff system is too screwy. Should be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, and so forth. But that's something they have to change. But yeah, I know it's.
But they got the goaltending. They've got, you know, they're a pretty well-rounded team. So
Yeah, and Kaprizov, since he went out, Matt Boldy has picked it up.
And Kaprizov is supposed to be back.
Yeah, he's supposed to come back at least before playoffs.
Yep.
So maybe he can get back in for a couple games at the end of the year and get back into a little bit of shape. So
Well, we've learned to stretch another 28 minutes.
talking about nothing. We're like the Seinfeld show. We talk about nothing.
Boy, I hate to go out on a date with you.
But hey, for Mike Egan, we're glad to be back. For Mike Egan, I'm Gary Gimbetti. We'll see you again on Home Team Advantage.
Hibbing Public Access Television would like to thank U.S. Bank for providing us with studio space.